The doomtombpodcast is sponsored by Desert Records, Sam Souse, and Glory or Death Records. And now, let's get on to the show.
Open my eyes.
You just sprung it on me at the literal last second, like the record is done. What the hell?
This is not what I signed up for.
Like space alien?
I'm curious, and maybe you can expound on it. I want to talk about a little bit about the gear.
Can you edit that out?
Hey, how y'all doing? This is Dixie Dave from Weed Eater, and you're listening to Doom Tomb.
Good question. What side you taking the big David Lee Roth Van Halen split?
What do you mean? What kind of question is that?
What side did you take, Halen or Roth?
Van Halen. He's a cop.
This is the Doom Tomb Podcast, the podcast for everything in the heavy underground. My name is Chris. I am your host, and today we're going to go over Act 2. Now, a few months ago, we went over Act 1, and what are we talking about? That's right, Creepshow Peepshow, the latest offering from Matt C. White. Act 2 is out now. Now, as I'm looking at his Bandcamp page, I'm noticing that I put a review up. Now, I must have been under some influence, but this describes it perfectly for me. Act 2 picks up where Act 1 left off, hearing a din of bluesy, Stones, Beatlesque vibe with a touch of Americana fuzz. Matt brings you through a cluster of deep introspection. Kick back and get down with a swampy southern experience that is a trip through the mind. Indeed. Let's hear from Matt right now. So we are gonna go back to New York. We did this a few months ago where we talked about this album. Well, kind of. It was part 1, and now we're going into part 2. I have Matt C. White back on the phone, about all the way over in New York, other side of the country, literally. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
It's another great day over here. I tell you what, man, it is getting so cool over here. It's almost like around 70 or under. So It's obviously time for the winter jacket over here.
We're kind of getting there. It's nice during the day, but night times are getting chilly. It's jacket time for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But we'll get into that maybe a little bit later. What we have to talk about is Creepshow Peepshow Act 2. We talked about Act 1 back around May, I think, April, May-ish, and now we're up to part 2. And do you mind? Can we just kick it off and talk about it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's kick everything off with Mr. Bloody Bones. This it's kind of like I got this stony kind of catchy blues with a spoon solo. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I went all out on that one. I was like, so it's old Southern folklore, right? Mr. Bloody Bones. He's this. So there's a witch. There's this hermit in the woods, and she's friends with a pig, and people have reported to see the pig walk around and reported to see her talk to the pig, whatever. Pig gets killed by a hunter, she reanimates his bones, and that's Mr. Bloody Bones. So he's like this boogeyman figure.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So I wanted the heavy creepy of this story, but also like, what if he was an old friend of yours and was just misunderstood? So like out the gate, it's kind of like silly. So then you have the spoon solo. I wanted it to be like folky, but also goofy, heavy, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. And what better thing to bring it back to somebody than, just a straight up boogeyman? But it also, I think it means so much more in another aspect. When I don't know if you did it when you were a kid. When I was a kid, sometimes I would have my the sheets all the way over my head because I didn't want whatever was underneath to come out.
Oh yeah, you have to run and jump on the bed. Classic.
I mean, yeah, I read up a little bit on this Bloody Bones thing, and saying that it was like kind of like a water demon of sorts, haunting ponds and oceans and stuff, and it was kind of like almost like a scare tactic for kids, like not to go by the water. I guess.
Don't go near the gutter. Don't go near the pond. Totally. I had a great uncle Connie. He was like this Willie Nelson looking guy with like, you know, pigtails and shit, and he'd be like, "Don't go over there. Bloody Bones gonna get you." And so it's like this thing that was like, I was scared of Bloody Bones as a kid, and then now it's just kind of like, well, we're homies now.
Oh, well, that's comforting in a way. So, you know, I was talking like initially about this, like, you know, kind of stonery, catchy blues, but also to continue with the word stone, I felt a little bit of like a Rolling Stone influence. And there's another influence that I want to talk about a little later. What were you drawing from this release? Were you drawing from anything else musically?
I mean, other than I wanted to be heavy and I wanted to be catchy, it's kind of, there's not a real direct influence. I'm just kind of winging it, you know? And that if anything, I'm very influenced by like the instruments, like the choice in instruments, right? So
right.
These two records are all baritone guitars, which definitely influences the way I play. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're in good company. Susie and the Banshees. Also, they recorded a song, Raw Head and Bloody Bones. Now get this. Do you know what album it was?
No.
Peep Show.
What?
Yeah.
When did they do? All right. Well, shit. I'm like biting on somebody else's shit.
No.
Yeah.
Imitation, sincerest form of flattery. And I'm telling you, man, that, I mean, you can't make that up. It's perfect. It just,
there's something there.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And that one starts out with bad words or bad deeds, unpunished, invite grief. Yeah. So, and I think it goes along with yours as well.
Yeah, totally.
Now, if we move on to the second track, Cult Killer, we have this early solo, ramps up with the heaviness. And I gotta admit, this song where I feel a little Beatles influence to me. Creepy keys and getting down in the song with a bit of a distorted vocal, and by the end, I'm in some Southern horror experience.
Is like I just started like trying to I like idioms and things like that, and I try to work them in. So like the idea is like when you're born, there's a horse, you're born with a horse, right? This cult, and it exists as you exist. And if you live too hard, your experiences beat this horse, right? And if you live too hard, too fast, you kill the horse, and then you live your life beating a dead horse. So a cult killer is somebody who killed their horse too early.
Wow.
That's the premise.
That I love that turn of phrase. That is incredible. Thank you so much for explaining that. I love that.
Yeah. Just like an idea I had, you know, like it was a note in my phone, cult killer. And then I just kind of branched out in both directions of, you know, like lyrically where I could go with it, you know?
Right. Absolutely, man. Yeah. So, before we go on to the next track, so we've had the part 1, part 2, and, it's funny, after hearing all the tracks from Act 1, Act 2, excuse me, they're albums into themselves, but are we talking about, I know we talked about it before, but vinyl release or possible full length and...
Possible vinyl release. I want to put them both together. I'm working that out, but yeah. I'm thinking get a 12-inch. cool colors and shit, you know.
Hell yeah, man. That would be and I saw this video a little bit ago on social media for the next track, and that is Cortisone Cream.
Cortisone Cream, yeah.
So I got this. It's in this song. It's a little swampy. It's a little humid.
Yeah.
I mean, can you explain if I heard this correctly, and I haven't had this? Maybe you have. Peaches and lean.
I just like the way it sounds. You know, like peaches and cream is something you hear all the time, and then like a little less peachier than peaches and cream would be peaches and lean, right? Peaches and like cough syrup. Like, you know, like, I don't know. I just like the way it sounds. I just, especially with Act II, it like all the music was done and none of the lyrics were done. So the last bit of writing and ironing all this out is just weirdo Matt lyric time.
Right.
And I don't know, I thought it'd be fun to scream Cortisone Cream, and you know, life's just peaches and lean. I don't know. You know, just feeling it.
Dude, it works out perfectly. Now, I mean, I expected the track among the other tracks too, because I didn't know what to expect with this Act II. I thought Act I was really big and you know, had a lot of heaviness to it, and I thought I might have came into a lighter side with Act II, but it's just not the case, man. This is like,
yeah, there's acoustic guitars and stuff, but it's a trick, you know. Like, Cortisone Cream starts out real mellow, yeah, swampy acoustic guitar, and then like by the end, it's like we're back screaming and fuzzed out again, you know.
It's like I expect you to kind of lay back, but this is like, it's almost like a showing off. Like, here I am, and it bursts into this like next level of confidence in a way. I mean, for this track, I feel like the payoff to the song is survival. But is it Band-Aid care, or are you actually fixing the cause?
Band-Aid care, I think.
Yeah.
It's like I got this preventative numbing agent that keeps me from having to deal with shit, you know. Yeah, but it's triumphant. I'm glad that I have it. You know, like I'm stoked on it.
Keep pushing it down, and hopefully it doesn't bubble up in another area.
Well, it bubbles up and just turns into music, so fuck it.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to that a little bit later. I want to go into this next track, Spitting Venom. Well, we have some. This is interesting because I felt almost like this funk fuzz, different vocal styles, and towards the end, felt like the Venom. I was actually coursing through my veins.
That track definitely spawned from that verse riff, and it's funny you say funk because, like, not consciously, but after I wrote it, I was like, there's something very primacy to this riff, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's just about, you know, caustic individuals, you know, and it's just like I wanted a really catchy chorus, and that's just kind of where I netted out spitting Venom for sure.
Hell yeah, man. Another incredible. I really, again, I enjoyed Act 1 and Act 2. It's like
they're different. It's the same. It's the same Peep Show, but they have a different vibe for sure.
Definitely. I feel like in Act 1 we're in this dingy kind of bar or whatever you want to call it. There's just this spot and there's a bunch of different weirdness happening. And now in Act 2, like I feel like we could be there, and now we're going through, different consciousness or different people's conscience or consciousness. I'll get it out. Don't worry about it. I swear. And,
I'm not worried.
And we're also a little dirtier. A little.
I think Act 2 is back in the woods a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Act 1 is the CD bar, and Act 2 is in the woods for sure.
I could easily see it as a track that would go under like that True Blood opening.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
That would totally work. And speaking of that, we have to move into this last track, which is Revenge. This is something that I've been getting into quite a bit. I know Desert Records has a few artists on their roster. I just saw Lord Buffalo not too long ago. It's almost like this mudfolk, alt America kind of or Americana fuzz.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about that?
Well, funny enough, before Creepshow Peepshow was what it is, I was going to write a record called Revenge, and this is going to be the featured track. And like the idea was like every track is a revenge story, or you get your revenge and then you feel guilty for whatever. So it was very revenge centric, and I couldn't for the life of me finish this song, and it's the last one I finished. And it's kind of like somebody seeking revenge on you, and they're not justified, but do I deserve their punishment anyways?
Right.
That's like the central idea behind Revenge, yeah.
And it's definitely the biggest track. I mean, longest track. Yeah. And in going through this, which one of these tracks was the quickest and which took the longest?
Mr. Bloody Bones was the quickest. Revenge was definitely the longest. Mr. Bloody Bones, I've had that riff bouncing around for a couple years, and I already had it recorded. I just didn't have lyrics for it, and then like one day that idea for like Bloody Bones and like using that for a song kind of came to me, and those lyrics were out in like an hour. That was like, cool, done.
Absolutely. Now at the end of Revenge, are we getting sucked into something else? At the end, are we succumbing to, other people being caustic, or are we, where are we?
I don't know. It's like there's a healthy dose of, well, things are fucked, but kind of okay. Like leaning into apathy. I think at the end you're like, well, there it was, they got their revenge and whatever, it's like, I didn't do the crime that they said, but I have done crimes, so I guess this is deserved,
Oh, yeah. It's almost like a self-psychology of sorts, trying to figure out whether you've done well or not, I guess.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, well, so it goes.
And so, yeah, and there's been a lot of apathy lately, trying to figure it all out, man. So, last time we talked, we were kind of just preparing for what was going to be coming later this year in regards to live gigs. How's it been going by you, and what's been happening in your neck of the woods?
Well, all the shows are, like Vax only stuff, and you have to show your Vax card with ID. But shows are kind of popping off over here. Like everything's getting booked up really quick. There's been a couple Grandpa Jack shows, but more than anything, so-and-so shows lately.
So yes, I did see something at the TVI. What can you tell me about so-and-so? What kind of project do we have here?
So, the front man, his name is Ethan. His old band was called Lackadaisies, and Grandpa Jack had played with them a couple times, and I've known him because he works in bars and I go to bars. But it's kind of like punky, grungy. It's like there's Melvin's vibes sometimes. There's like Cramps vibes sometimes. Right. There's clean vocals. He screams sometimes. I scream a little sometimes. There's spooky or like vocalizations. It's like fun. It's just like the song structure is a bit more straightforward than like say my stuff or Grandpa Jack.
Right.
But it people seem to like it, and it's very high energy, and I have a great time. So, and TVI is a dope venue. It's really great.
Right on, man. So would you be having maybe a Grandpa Jack show there anytime soon?
Not as of yet. Our bass player is on tour right now. He's cheating on us with a friend of mine named Charles Ellsworth. So he's traveling the country playing country music right now.
Fantastic. Well, you know what? I think that's awesome because, he's getting outside of the genre, so to speak, and maybe he'll come back with something that'll bring in a new breath of fresh air to Grandpa Jack. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Grandpa Jack had this big sort of like push to record. We actually, since we spoke, we went upstate to Saugerties, New York. I saw that.
Yeah, we recorded a full length. We stayed, like, this studio is basically like a cabin in the woods, right? So we're sleeping on the floor.
Right.
No running water, like there's electric and stuff. So like, So we basically just camped.
Yeah.
We camped at this cabin for 7 days. And from the moment we woke up, got coffee, we just recorded all day. Recorded jams, which has never really been represented in our recordings, but every live Grandpa Jack show has jams where we just kind of improv, whatever. And we recorded some of those. So there's interludes and passages where just a jam kind of comes out of nowhere and then slips into another song. We're getting mixes back now. I'm really stoked on it. It's going to be, it's my favorite Grandpa Jack.
Hey, I saw your ad in the fucking paper, man. Looking for a alternative bass player. Oh, you're such a fucking jerk. Hey, but that's okay, because I'm a jerk too. Let's have the jerkiest fucking band in town. I'll hold your fucking hand all the way to the top.
We here at the Doom Podcast love our hot sauces, and that brings us to our latest sponsor, Samsa House. Handcrafted in Austin, Minnesota by born and raised local chef S.T. Hastings, it's all natural, vegan, gluten-free, and no added fillers with an emphasis on sustainability. Let's talk about them. You want some cherry wood smoked sauce for the masses? Grab some of that Smoky J. You want some charred pineapple and ginger with toasted spices? Check out the Piña Dañada. And If you want fermented orange habaneros and garlic with a blend of vinegars, it's gonna funk you up. You want that funky garlic. It's time. Click on the link in the show notes. Get over to Samsa House and let them sauce you up. In the past few years, we have heard a lot from a label in the southwestern region of the United States. With bands like Abysm, Book of Worms, Breath, Cortege, Grim Earth, L'Uomo Nero, Nebula Drag, Penitent Man, Fog, Red Mesa, Stone Machine Electric, The Growl Brothers, The Horn God, The Misery Men, and When the Deadbolt Breaks. Also, compilations like Women of Doom, and the split between Lord Buffalo and Pale Horse Pale Rider. And now they have 2 new artists on the roster, Benny Benededli and Spliff Ripper. We have Desert Records, the label that focuses on desert, heavy psych, doom, experimental, and stoner rock. With over 15 releases lined up, this DIY label will be introducing the world to new bands and new material from classic desert rock bands. And now, Desert Records has a tiered subscription service. In the subscription, you will receive all of the past releases digitally. You will also receive all of the new material as it is released, and you will also have access to subscriber-only messages and 20% off of merchandise. All of that for just $36 a year. They also have a CD tier available where you get all of that, plus 3 CDs at sign-up. And hey, all you vinyl fanatics out there, they didn't forget about you. For the LP tier, you will get all of the digital releases and an LP at sign-up for just $60 a year. So it's obvious, it's time to enter the desert.
Well, hey there, Tommy. What's with the long face? I don't know why I feel the way I do. I'm just not happy, Doc. Like, I don't feel right. Oh, I think you have anxiety, Tommy. You know, I know exactly what you need. I'm going to go ahead and write you a prescription
For a record player and some sweet new records at Glory or Death Records.
That'll get you back on your feet again, and right as rain in no time.
Glory or Death has all the best bands: Moss Generator, Red Wizard, Love Gang, Red Witch Johnny.
They'll get you feeling peachy keen again.
They even have an insane double album tribute to Thin Lizzy featuring High on Fire, Mothership, Duel, Worshipper, and tons more.
Wowee! Oh, that sure is keen.
Side effects may include extreme giddiness, bloodshot eyes, random cravings, forgetfulness, bleeding of the ears, confusion, nausea, constipation, diarrhea, depression, anxiety, alcoholism, ulcers, or death.
And now, we return to the Doom Tomb.
When you say that, you know, you're in this place, there's not a lot of accoutrement or whatever. Does that help your process? Does it make it like make it a little more intense?
I think so. I mean, it's the first time I've done that, but it's really convenient to not be on a time crunch. You know, like anytime, every other time recording, it's like there's this sense of urgency and like getting your money's worth, basically, because you're paying, you know, by the hour, essentially.
Right.
This was just like broing down with my buds, camping, you know, essentially, and recording while we do it.
There's got to be something to that, the connection, because, you know, whatever. And it's, I know this isn't reality TV at all, but, you know, when they do those shows and you know, they take away the internet, they take away phones, and all you're left to do is talk back and forth with each other. And maybe it makes it a little bit different and changes some things.
I think, I mean, certainly. And then this is like, Grandpa Jack is so collaborative. Like, so we recorded all the music, tracked it live, right?
Right.
And then the last 2 days were vocal days. and lyric days. We hadn't written any lyrics. So like, it's literally just like me, Jared, and Johnny drinking beers, smoking weed, and like bouncing lyric ideas off of one another and writing like line for like, I can't take full credit for anything on this record.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I could write a first line and Jared ended up getting the second line because he came up with the rhyming word or the flow or whatever better,
Exactly.
you know?
Okay.
It's
So,
cool.
so
It's
here's
difficult. Yeah.
here's the thing. If you can't, I understand. What lyric in the latest Grandpa Jack did you go to bat for the hardest?
Ooh. Let's see. There's this one lyric I really like. The song is called Evil Eye, right? So there's all these kind of like visualizations of like the evil eye is cutting you and it's lashing you. So the lash of eyes, I like that because it's an eyelash, whatever, but it's also an eye with a whip or whatever. And they weren't feeling that at all. And I was like, we all respect one another's like trump card. You know what I mean? If somebody feels strongly enough to be like, no, I need this, it's like we're like, okay, you got it. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, it just dawned on me that turn of phrase kind of style. It reminds me of there was this artist years ago. I think her first album was in '96 or something. Patty Rothberg, and she's a New York artist. And if you just go down her, catalog and listen to some of her lyrics, it's such a she has some unique turns of phrase that, as she says, like the turning of a style, like turnstile.
Yeah, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. I love that. I love combining things like that. It's perfect.
Now, I'm curious because we're in October right now, and it's about that time for everything to start changing. And one of the parts that I miss, and it's it might sound a little silly, but the Palisades Parkway in New York, just driving up the Palisades, seeing all the colors changing. We got some colors. We got some leaves falling now.
I don't see too many trees. They're starting to change, but like I haven't left the city in like a month, to be honest. So I'm literally just seeing these scrawny ass trees in the sidewalk. You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot in the way of trees for me, but I am overdue to go upstate. I'm about to go to North Carolina actually the end of this month, so that'll be nice.
What part?
I'm going to Chapel Hill. So I mentioned Jared's on tour.
Yep.
They're playing a show in Chapel Hill, and I'm just going to surprise the boys and just drive down and show up.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Hey, I'm here for the show.
It's really interesting to me to go through Carolina. And the first time I went through, I looked around and I was like, oh my God, I never put two and two together that so many different cigarette brands are based out of, it's the town, right?
Winston-Salem. Salem, Winston,
Yeah, I mean, and on top of it, like there are still, I don't know what they're called. There's probably some name for it, where they would dry the tobacco leaves in this little barn.
Yeah. I don't know what you call that either, but when I was a kid, I used to hunt when I was a kid, and me and my dad hunted out of one, and it's the spookiest fucking, because it was like, it's old, it's it's a barn in the woods, right? But when they hang the tobacco, they get tar on their hands, so there's these spooky fingerprints and handprints all on the inside of this barn.
Oh my gosh,
it's like my creepiest hunting experience for sure.
I wonder if that's I wonder if you can do anything with that with current technology, because I'm assuming if it hasn't really been touched and it's a fingerprint, you're still going to have the print. I wonder if you can like get it and trace it to something and
like a little tobacco forensics.
Yes, tobacco forensics. That's exactly it. Yes, and they could find the true origin of the Marlboro Man, possibly. I don't know. So, excuse me. So you've been hanging out in New York for a bit now. What have you been seeing? Have you been getting out to some shows?
Yeah, I saw. So where I practice is also a bar venue called Our Wicked Lady.
Right.
I saw Netherlands play there with the Giraffes recently, and I'd never seen the Giraffes before, and they're cool. Netherlands. I think I'm gonna go to this show tonight. It's Netherlands and a Black Sabbath cover band.
Yeah.
But it's like members of the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and it's like a super group.
Right.
Black Sabbath cover band. And they're playing TBI tonight. What else have I seen? Couple of punk shows. Nothing like proper heavy other than Netherlands. You ever listen to Godmaker?
No, tell me.
I jammed with those dudes last night.
Mm-hmm.
It's too early to say. We haven't defined the relationship, but I'm stoked. You should check out Godmaker. Super fucking heavy, like kind of proggy, 7-8 minute songs type of deal. They've been a band for a while now. They're on Aqualam Records.
Okay.
But yeah, I kind of like, they asked me if I wanted to jam, and I just kind of like went through their catalog and then got to play with him, and I was like, this music is dope. You got to check out Godmaker. Okay,
I'm looking right now. Is it one word or two?
One, and the banger is Megalith.
The banger is Megalith. All right, I'm gonna put this.
Add it to the queue. I'm sure your queue is a million long at this point. They just did a Floyd cover too, I think.
In the Flesh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, I do remember this from a couple of months ago. They put that out in August. Okay. Yeah. I wow. I didn't put two and two together. That would be 5, I think. Yeah. All right. So in moving forward, I just have a few more questions for you, sir.
Yep.
First off, what is a food that everyone loves but you find disgusting?
Celery. Yeah.
Okay.
Immediately, as soon as I was like, fucking, there's not enough ranch in the world to make me enjoy celery. I don't get it. I don't like it.
You didn't even, as a kid, you didn't even do the ants on a log?
No, I don't get and I still try celery once a year. I'm not like closed-minded or anything, and everyone loves it, whatever. I'll try it just to double check. I can't, I fucking hate celery. I don't get it. Tastes weird.
You know what? There can be a bitterness to it, and then you get the little strings in between your teeth. It sucks.
Yeah, it's texture. I mean, I don't mind say it's in a soup or something, and it's all mushed like stock, whatever. That's fine, but right. I'm never just gonna snack on that. It's gross.
All right, fair enough. I could appreciate that. I think if I had to go, I would almost say a radish. I don't use radishes in anything.
I love radish. It's very common. Here, if you get tacos, there'll be radishes on the tacos. I love radishes. I love horseradish too. That nose burn.
Oh, so good. I just made some horseradish pickles the other night. I'm waiting. I'm probably going to crack them open tomorrow. So we'll check that. Check that. And also, before we head out, I got to talk a little bit about the cover art. So it feels like there's a little bit of a continuation from Act I. What can you tell me about the cover art? And am I seeing Mr. Bloody Bones there?
That's him. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So, it's kind of similar. It's abstract skull, but in this case, it's like a hog skull. Still trying to draw what I think fuzz guitar sounds like what it would look like,
Right.
I knew as soon as I did the first cover, it's those primary colors. It's cream, yellow, red, blue. I knew I wanted the second one to be blue as the primary, as the background. I feel like Act II is is bluesier, and I was just like, well, that makes sense. I'm just gonna rock with the blue background on that one, you know.
That does work, and it works well. And I also see a couple of eyes around. I don't know whether it's something creeping behind you or maybe, you know, all eyes are on you. I'm not quite sure.
The peepers. Those are the peepers from the Peep Show.
God damn. That is fucking genius.
I think about this shit.
That is freaking genius.
I don't have anything else to do with my time except for fucking draw and write music and shit, so.
I apologize. I don't know if there was I had a scam as you were talking. That didn't come through, right?
No.
Okay. Just a scam call. You know, because apparently every week my car warranty seems to expire.
The extended warranty is always expiring. Always.
I didn't know I had this many cars. Yeah. Have you, like, what happens with that? What I would let, because like, is anybody falling for it?
I don't. Old people. I think these scams are working on old people who take phone calls seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get those calls daily, and they're always a similar number to my number, or they're from some crazy ass place in Kansas. I'm like, I don't know anybody from there. I've never been there. Like, you know, but it's always the extended warranty.
You know, yeah, I agree, but I'm sorry, I got off track on that. On the artwork, have you ever seen? I'm trying to look him up now. Okay, this is the guy, Brian Lewis Saunders.
Let me see.
I've
never heard of it.
He was an artist, not musician, but a straight up artist, and he's not the only one to do this. He created a self-portrait of him every day. This is going back several years. In 2000, he came up with an experiment called Under the Influence, which saw him take a different drug or intoxicant each day.
I've heard of this. Yeah.
And the only reason I really bring it up is because that's kind of what I'm seeing on Creepshow Peepshow. It's like, this is definitely a journey through the head, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of Creepshow Peepshow is maybe me being the most honest I've ever been with creative expression and like my music and my art and stuff. It's like, it's literally like I write down exactly what I think, whatever I want it to sound like, whatever I want to, you know, there's like, it's just me. So there's no sound wall for me to bounce off. There's no feedback from anyone else. I'm literally just like, I want to do this. I want it to sound like this. I want a fucking spoon solo and you can't stop me, you know?
Absolutely, man. And I'm telling you, man, you just kicked it out of the park, both sides. Act 1, Act 2. I'm looking forward to grabbing some vinyl and hopefully multicolor splatter, 180 gram weight. You know the drill.
Got you. I know the drill. I've been here before.
Yes, you have. Now, before you go, I'm going to try this again. Now, I talked to you a little bit about it, honestly, off mic, but years ago when I started this, I did this, and I'm going to try it, but I seem to fail miserably, and I forget because I get so jazzed up to talk to people, much like yourself. Here we go. Here we start again. Matt, do you have a question to ask the next band I interview?
I do. My question would be, what is a musical influence of yours that your fans would be surprised by?
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir. All right, man.
Of course.
Matt, always a pleasure talking to you. And, you know, sometime I've seen it on television. I've seen it everywhere where, you know, things are kind of calming down a little bit. I'm praying for it. And, you know, we can only just move forward. And sometime I'll get to New York and we'll hang out.
Hell yeah. Thanks so much for having me, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks, brother. We'll talk soon. Thank you, Matt, for joining us yet again. And like we said before, I am really looking forward to a vinyl release. Side 1, Act 1, Side 2, Act 2. Tell you what, let's hear the final track off of this release. This is Revenge.
She
Thanks, everyone, for joining us and having a little sit-down, a little chat about the heavy underground and everything that is Matt C. White. I'm looking forward to Act 1 and Act 2 on vinyl. Yeah, what do you think? That sounds real good. So we have to move forward. Ian, could you please hit the music? Thank you, sir. Christopher Ball contacted me. He has Content Control Podcast, and I got to check that out. I got it in my list of things to see, but he made a recommendation, and the recommendation is out of Seattle for He Whose Ox is Gored, and I will be listening to all of that music. I just started. I listened to Paralyzer, Buried Twice, Void Assault. I'm really liking it, and I think you would too. And we have to have a chat, and I heard that they can talk for a little bit, and that is what we want here at the Doom Tomb Podcast. Also, huge thank you goes out to Ian from No Masters Audio for doing all things sound for the Doom Tomb. Don't forget, on craniumradio.com, I've got a show 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At least that's the first part. Now, the second part is either going to be a podcast or it's going to be some extended tracks or some tracks that I just couldn't get to or just general weirdness. It's up to you. Figure it out. Check it out. Love it. And, yeah, I got to tell you, man, the numbers have been growing each and every week. Thank you so much for everybody that has tuned in.
Totally radical, dude.
All right, everybody, take care of yourselves. Thank you so much. And get out to those shows, man. Yeah.
Righteous.
Yeah. We got to get those places filled up again. And enjoy yourselves. Of course, you're going to be doing that at the show, maybe a beverage, whatever.
Cowabunga!
While you're there, pick up some band merch. That's the way they make their bones. And above all, don't forget to stay heavy.